If you're about to get a new roof, watch this video before you agree to any upgrades, because in this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 most overrated roofing upgrades. Ridge vent can be a great product if you get the right one, but so often a roofing contractor might convince a homeowner to upgrade to a ridge vent, and possibly because the contractor doesn't understand how ventilation is supposed to work, or he wants a higher profit on the sale and therefore he installs a cheaper ridge vent. You, the homeowner, could end up with a roof that isn't sufficiently ventilated, or it might not even be ventilated at all. So if you want to see how ridge vents are actually supposed to work, watch this video right up here. Now, many rolled ridge vents are nothing more than just some fiber mesh sandwiched in between a couple of sheets of vinyl or plastic. And that fiber mesh is very similar to what you're going to see in your furnace filter. But think about it. What is it that that fiber mesh in your furnace filter does? Well, it's there to prevent dust and dirt from blowing through the filter and getting into your furnace. Well, the fiber mesh on the underside of that rolled ridge vent works pretty much the same way. Air is flowing up and out of your attic, going through that fiber mesh, and it's going to get coated and filled with dust and dirt. And then it can't vent any longer. So you end up with a roof that is either insufficiently vented or it's not venting at all. So because rolled ridge vent products don't work, rolled ridge vents are overrated. Leaf guards are really popular, and that's understandable because most homeowners don't want to get up on their roof to try to clean out their gutters. But leaf guards, depending on where you live, depending on where your house is, they can actually prevent your gutters from doing what they're supposed to do. And a lot of times the leaf guards don't work anyway. If you live in an area with a lot of pine trees and you're using just a standard leaf guard, then the pine needles probably are just going to go right through the openings in the leaf guard, and then you end up with a gutter full of pine needles anyway. But, Mr. Roofer, I hear you say, there's lots of gutter guards that are designed to keep pine needles out. Well, yes, there are. But the problem with those is that the mesh screen on top of them is so fine that, yes, it does keep the pine needles out, but it can also keep the water out of your gutter. The water can actually just sheet right over the top of it. And this is especially a problem if you live in a cold climate, because then in the wintertime, that water is going to sheet over that pine needle screen, and then it's just going to turn into ice, and you're going to end up with a big sheet of ice on top of the leaf guard, huge icicles hanging off your gutter, and it might even cause a skating rink underneath all of that. But regardless of what kind of gutter guard or leaf guard that you have, if you live in a dry climate, then most likely you're going to have a lot of dirt and dust blowing around in the air. That ends up on your roof and then washes into your gutter. Well, that eventually starts to accumulate. We've seen gutters so full of dirt that there have been small weeds and even trees growing out of the gutters. And then if you've got leaf guards or gutter guards on top of your gutter, then to clean out the gutter, either you or a gutter cleaner has to remove all of the leaf guards just to clean out your gutters. So I can see that leaf guards or gutter guards might be practical in some situations, but contrary to what a lot of homeowners believe, contrary to what a lot of roofing companies and gutter companies try to make a homeowner believe, it's not a magic pill that prevents you from having to ever clean out your gutters again. But like one of our YouTube viewers commented recently, leaf guards making a bad situation even worse. So because leaf guards are expensive and they're not practical in every situation, leaf guards are overrated. Shingles that are impact resistant are rated as class 1, 2, 3, or 4, with class 4 being the most impact resistant. And class 3 and class 4 are the most common impact resistant shingles sold. Oftentimes a homeowner might want an impact resistant shingle, but want to save money on the purchase of it. And so that is probably going to be a situation where a roofer is going to suggest a class 3 shingle instead of a Class 4 shingle. Or if a roofer is offering to upgrade a homeowner to an impact-resistant shingle for free, it might be that he's going to use a Class 3 shingle instead of a Class 4 shingle. The reason for that is because a Class 3 shingle is just a little bit more expensive than a standard shingle that isn't impact resistant. So the cost to the roofer to upgrade from a standard shingle to a Class 3 shingle isn't very great, and it won't impact his profit very much. And in fact, some shingle companies are claiming that what was previously just a standard non-impact resistant shingle is now all of a sudden a Class 3 impact resistant shingle, even though they didn't make any changes to the manufacturing process of the shingle. So what does that tell you? To me, it suggests that that's nothing more than a marketing gimmick. Not only that, the cost difference between a Class 3 impact resistant shingle and a Class 4 impact resistant shingle also is not very much. So the actual out-of-pocket expense for a homeowner, the difference between a Class 3 shingle and a Class 4 shingle isn't going to be very great. So if you're going to invest money in an impact-resistant shingle, just skip the Class 3 shingle and invest in a good quality Class 4 impact-resistant shingle. So because Class 3 shingles are pretty close to the same price as Class 4 shingles, and because they don't offer anywhere near the level of protection from hail damage as a Class 4 shingle, Class 3 shingles are overrated. Owens Corning is probably the most popular shingle brand in America, and since a lot of homeowners now are interested in impact-resistant shingles, then impact-resistant shingles are much more in demand. And Owens Corning makes 2 impact-resistant shingles. One is called the Duration Storm, one is called the Duration Flex. The Duration Storm is a standard asphalt shingle, and the Duration Flex is an SBS shingle. And if you need more information about what an SBS shingle is, click this video right up here. Now, in my experience in over 13 years in the roofing industry, I just have not seen the Duration Storm hold up very well to hail damage. I've been on lots of roofs that have that product on it, and it just hasn't performed very well. And as for the new Duration Flex SBS shingle, it's a fairly new product, especially here in this market, so we haven't seen a whole lot of it go through hailstorms. But here's the one thing that I do know about it. It's not anywhere near as thick and heavy as some of the competitors' products like the Malarkey Legacy or the CertainTeed Northgate. So in my opinion, since it's not as thick of a shingle, since it's a lighter shingle, it's not going to hold up to hail damage as well as those other 2 products would. So if a homeowner wants an impact-resistant shingle that's actually going to prevent future damage from hailstorms, I would recommend going with a better shingle like the Malarkey Legacy or the CertainTeed Northgate. So because the Owens Corning Class 4 shingles don't stand up as well to hail damage, and it's a thinner, lighter product, the Owens Corning Class 4 shingles are overrated. Stone-coated steel roofing tiles is typically sold as more of a high-end product for luxury homes, so that means it's normally going to be pretty expensive. Now, oftentimes a stone-coated steel roof is going to float above the roof deck because either it's installed on battens or because of the profile of the tile. Either way, there's going to be a void underneath the roofing tile and the roof deck. So there's this empty space between the roof tile and the roof deck. What that means for you is that if you or somebody else is going to be walking on your stone-coated steel roof, it can be kind of important to be careful where you step, because if you step on the middle of one of those tiles, because there's a void there, that can cause it to bend or buckle. And stone-coated steel can be susceptible to hail damage, sometimes even more so than a good asphalt shingle. Don't believe me? Watch this video right here. But the biggest drawback to a stone-coated steel roof is that oftentimes the stones that they coat the steel with can begin to fall off. And when that happens, you can be left with small or large exposed areas where now all you've got is just a a bare galvanized steel roof. So because stone-coated steel can be expensive, and because it can be damaged by foot traffic or even hail, and because the granules can fall off, leaving behind an ugly, bare galvanized steel roof, stone-coated steel is overrated.
One more. Yeah, we get one more.
No video talking about overrated roofing upgrades would be complete without talking about solar. There's a few things that make solar roofing overrated, whether you're talking about just the regular solar panels or whether you're talking about the next big thing, solar shingles. And one of the things that makes it overrated is who it is that's trying to convince us that it's a good idea. First, there's the green movement, which is completely agenda driven about their apocalyptic hysterics about the end of the world because of climate change and fossil fuels and all of that. Then there's our own government that's doing everything in its power to force this green agenda upon us, whether that's from banning gas appliances or gas-powered lawnmowers or even your gas-powered car. Then there's the marketers and salespeople who work for solar companies because they know that because the green agenda is being pushed on us from every single direction, there's a great opportunity to sell it because people's appetites are being whetted for solar energy. But the next thing that makes solar overrated is just the ridiculous cost of it. So the people that I've talked to who have given me objective information have told me that they can't completely replace the electricity that they're getting from the grid with their solar panels. And the irony of all ironies is I had one of my customers who has solar on his house and told me that the solar on his house doesn't generate enough energy to, to charge his Tesla car. I'm sorry. So if you can't completely replace the electricity that you're having to get from the grid, then if you're spending $25,000 to $35,000 or more on a solar system for your house, you're never going to see your return on investment for that money that you've paid for that system. But Mr. Roofer, I hear you say, the cost of the system is offset somewhat by the 30% tax credits I get. But do you know what it's called when taxpayers have to subsidize the products or services that other people want to buy? We call that socialism. And the most obnoxious part about it is that it's mostly the affluent people that can afford to buy these solar systems to put on their house. So that means that the rest of us are subsidizing the affluent so that they can so-called save money on their energy bill. But believe it or not, a solar system can actually make it harder for you to sell your house if that's what you intend to do. Because if you're leasing your system, then the potential buyer that you have either has to assume the lease on the solar system, or you have to buy out the lease on your system, or maybe even your buyer needs to buy out the lease on that system. And if you have a company that does the installation of your system, and that company is not a roofing and solar company, then you've got a really big question mark about who owns the warranty for your roof. Because when they install your solar system, they have to make penetrations through your roof. And that's typically going to void any workmanship warranty that you might have from your roofing company, or it's also going to void any product warranty that you have from your shingle manufacturer. So then if you have leaks on the roof slopes where your solar panels are, then who's responsible for fixing those leaks? Our experience has been that it's almost never, I think really never, the solar company who takes responsibility for that. And a roofer is always going to make the assumption that leaks on a roof slope with solar are caused by the penetrations from the solar system. So because solar is expensive, it's agenda driven, and there's a lot of potential warranty problems, solar is overrated. Do you want to know what my top 5 underrated roofing products are? Click this video right here. And if you need some help choosing a roofer, watch this playlist right here.